has made significant contributions in development characterization of FGMs using lens for combustors liner applications. He is the life member of Aeronautical Society of India, Additive Manufacturing Society of India, Indian National Society for Aerospace and Related Manufacturing, and Indian Institute of Metals. Now I welcome you for the session, sir.
Thank you, Mrs. Sumitra, for giving an introduction. Before that, I would like to Institute of Engineering and Technology for inviting me to give an online lecture on the activity of 3D printing, especially metal 3D printing. Thanks, Mr. Junaid, coordinator, for coordinating the program. And so now I'll to start with, I'll share the presentation of my lecture. Mr. Junaid, is my presentation available? I think I'll move this down. Junaid? Mr. Junaid?
Visible, sir. Please go ahead, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, I welcome all the participants to this FDP program on of Achal on the topic 3D printing and design being organized by Lord Institute of Technology of Engineering. My topic of today's presentation is metal 3D printing using DED and PBF technologies. So we'll share some of the work what we have carried out in DMRL in this latest technology. My line of presentation will be, for the last 4 days you may be listening to various lectures and have a very good idea of about 3D printing and processes, what are things. But still I would like to give a very brief introduction on this 3D printing. What all the topics I'm going to cover today are exclusively only related to the metal 3D printing. I will not cover anything related to the polymers or plastics or other type of 3D printings which are all also there. We will talk what are the advantages of 3D printing, especially again metal 3D printing, and what are the complexities of 3D printing, what are the processing map is involved in the 3D printing of metals, and which type of flow charts, what is the actual flow of 3D printing of metal components involves, and we'll also see what type of 3D printing of metals are available for 3D printing, and we'll see two different technologies for metal 3D printing that we are following at DMRL. We are working on it DMRL, direct energy deposition, and powder bed fusion. And then how much ever we talk on the theory of 3D printing advantages and the process and everything, unless we talk about take a few case studies, many things will not be clear. So I will touch upon a couple of case studies, one from the direct energy deposition and one from powder bed fusion. And one more important aspect is that just 3D printing of a component is not sufficient. For it to be used in the final application, it has to seek for detailed evaluation. Of evaluations are required, again, especially for metal 3D printing. I'll touch upon exclusively for fuel injector what we have developed, and what are the technology challenges are there. We'll touch in the end, and we conclude at the end. So to start my presentation, I will begin with this slide talking about something about the nature. Understand why actually we have to work on 3D printing, why it is taking place in this technology. So why to look for this technology, or why people are and why it has become a buzzword in the manufacturing industry. So if you talk about the nature, what all we see in the nature, everything is perfect. You can see the Earth moving around the sun in a perfect orbit, rotating on its axis. There will not be any deviations on that perfectness. Every process in the activity, what all we see it from right from the morning of the sunlight to the day, night, everywhere. Every activity will go on in a systematic manner. And if you see, hello, yes, Shravan, can I call you back after 1 hour? I'm online presentation and you. Right. Yeah. Nature has given us many designs and solutions. Like heart is nothing but is from which the design of the pump has been created. And if you see, many times the solutions are very, very simple. One has to understand that there is a big difference between normal processing and efficient processing. We have to work with an efficient processing. And if we have to always aim to be near the future. Whatever is near to the future is near to the perfection. You can see so many, if you see a honey bee structure, perfect hexagonal. And if you see the tree, when it is cut across, so many layers of wood will be there. And what is the bottom line is nature is always perfect. Any process near to the nature is near to perfection. So 3D printing is one such process which is near to nature. That is the reason why the world is behind 3D printing in the current scenario. Why 3D printing process is near to nature, we'll see in coming few slides. So what are the characteristics of nature? We see the assembly. Nature does not make any individual parts. Everything in the nature will be an assembly. It is not, whereas all man-made systems, right from a simple chair to the complex space shuttle, everything is an assembly of individual parts. So it is required, assembly is required for this whole system to work. That is one of the important difference between the man-made systems and the nature-created systems. If you see another characteristics of the nature, there will not be any wastage. Everything is recycled. Nature's manufacturing will not have any wastage, whereas all manufacturing of components by man consists of wastage in the form of chips. If you take the components and many other things, and even if you see the aerospace sector, sometimes the buy to fly ratio in some cases is as high as 20. That means if you input a material of 100 kgs, finally the component what we need may be less of 5 kgs. Nearly 95% of the material will go as a waste, whereas nature does not have any such type of wastages. And if you see another characteristics related to manufacturing, if we see nature manufacturing, everything is in the additive process. There will not be multi-material. It will have multi-locational, different types of metals will be there, multi-direction, multi-layered. It is unified. That means no assembly, and sometimes also it repairs. Whereas if we see the man manufacturers, everything is by the subtractive process. Nature manufactures everything by the additive process, whereas the man manufactures everything by the subtractive process. Whereas the way in which case we have to remove material to create the part, material wastage in making the part, and then we have to assemble all the parts as an asset to make the system to work. This is a major difference again between nature and manufacturing. So this sign change of manufacturing from minus to plus has happened in the year 1987. With the advent of 3D systems, the manufacturing sign was changed from negative to positive. In conventional manufacturing, majority of the components are manufactured through subtractive machining. Designers are always forced to design the components, always keeping at the back of the mind the limitations of machining, tooling, dies, etc. This will lead many times to compromise on the performance or efficiency or more weight of the component. 3D printing addresses all these problems. So if you see the definition of 3D printing, process of 3D printing is a process of building parts layer by layer, virtually of any shape from a digital model, from a CAD model. it has changed the traditional philosophy, which was designed for manufacture. That means the designer always designs his component keeping the manufacturing limitations in consideration. To the present day, manufacturer for design. That means whatever has been designed by the designer should be able to manufacture. This can be done only by the process of 3D printing. So before going further, we'll talk some of the terms. Many times we'll be using 3D printing, additive manufacturing, rapid prototyping. So if you see 3D printing and additive manufacturing, both are the same process. Both terms refers to the building of parts, joining them layer by layer from a CAD file. 3D printing and additive manufacturing can be used regardless of fabrication of the plastics, polymers, metal, or rubber, anything. People in the industry use the term of additive manufacturing, whereas in the hobbies or prefer in the commercial aspect, it will be generally referred to as a 3D print. ISO ASTM 52900 standard terms this technology as additive manufacturing. Then what is rapid prototyping? Rapid prototyping is a group of techniques which are used to manufacture a component in the rapid phase. So additive manufacturing or 3D printing is one of the process of the rapid prototyping. That means rapid prototyping is also possible by some other means like high-speed CNC machining. But majority of the rapid prototyping is being carried out by the process of additive manufacturing or 3D printing. So many of the times, rapid prototyping also refers to the 3D printing or additive manufacturing. So if you see what are the advantages of metal 3D printing, this slides projects few of the advantages. Realizing complex designs. Realize complete assembly of parts with reduction in number of parts. If you see, this is one of the famous example of LEAP engine fuel nozzle where 20 parts have been reduced to one. Multiple designs and prototypes. That means we can, in the normal conventional process, only one design will be made, and if required, toolings of and dies for that production of that component will be made. And in the series, it has to be again developed and tested. If it meets the requirements, it will be passing the necessary design requirements, or if it is not meeting, again it has to come back to scratch and start design for a new component. But whereas in 3D printing we can have 3 or 4 multiple designs made at the same time and fabricated at the same time and can be tested simultaneously, so that the time for development of any new product will be coming down. It is also possible to have innovative and pilot design. Nature has given many designs. All these designs, even though earlier designers used to make, but because of limitations of conventional machining, this could not be realized into hardware. Now with the advent of 3D printing, it's possible to have these designs in reality or making them hardware for use in the final application. It is also possible to have weight reduction. That means you can see a component which are lowly, the regions which are low stressed can be having a different structure of by reducing the metal in that regions and have the overall component weight reduction is possible. And there will be very little wastage in the material. We can see in the conventional process, if to manufacture this component, so much of wastage of material in the form of chips will be there, whereas in the additive, wherever the material is required, only at those points the material will be fused and the component will be made. So much of reduction in the wastage will be made. And reduction in the lead time. Example, the development lead time of many components for a propulsion, like example for a propulsion tank has been reduced from 4 years to just 25% of that 1 year. So such type of reduction in the development of lead time is possible with additive manufacturing. This slide gives us some of the glimpse of the metal 3D printed components already developed worldwide. The first one is the GE LEAP engine fuel nozzle, and these are the titanium alloy aerospace blades, some of the components of aero engine component, aero engine parts, and this is a titanium propulsion tank made using the EBAM technology. Metal printing of large size parts are possible, and other parts in the metals are all possible, which have been already proven world over using this technology of 3D printing. The generally perceived process of 3D printing by majority is that it is a simple process of 3D printing is just to prepare the design of the part and submit the CAD model to the machine to get the final part. But in reality, it is very complex process involving 3 P's: pre-processing, processing, and post-processing. So actual process of 3D printing involves so many parameters and so many steps. The pre-processing, part design, DFM principles, and supports design so that the time of 3D printing it will not collapse. And in the processing, machining parameters, which in the machining parameters, part deposition is important, and the post-processing also, because these are high the temperatures involved are very high, and rapid cooling is involved in this process, which generally creates residual stresses which have to be relieved. And there is also will be also requirement of heat treatment and hipping process to have the denser components, and inspection and testing and evaluation of the component which has been 3D printed is very important. If you see the functional comp, if you see this slide gives a processing map of 3D printing for metal components, metal additive manufacturing. If you see the basic necessity for any component to go for the user application, it has to meet the feature size and mechanical properties. So in pre-processing stage, the knowledge of powder metallurgy is very important to understand the powder flow and packing density of the material. Otherwise, they will result in porosity and results in the failed builds. In the processing stage, the metal and laser interaction has a dominant effect in the process of solidification and melting. Material chemistry is important. These processes will be directly responsible for formation of different phases, grain sizes, etc., which will dictate the final mechanical properties of the component. So in post-processing also, thermal processing like heat treatment and hipping are all very important. So we at DMRL are having majority of the expertise in all these areas and are working in this technology. I would like to summarize here is that metal 3D printing is a conglomeration of metallurgical and mechanical engineering disciplines. One has both metallurgical knowledge is very important, especially for metal 3D printing, and mechanical engineering discipline knowledge is also very important to have to work in the 3D printing area and to develop the components for the user applications with complete technical evaluation and qualification of the component for end user applications. So again, I mentioned 3 P's are very important. So if you see the sequence of 3D printing of components, it starts with the original design as what has been designed for the conventional component. Then we will go with the adaptive design, generative design, where topology optimization and reduction in the weight of the component will be carried out, lightweighting of the component will be made. With these designs, again, will be validated using finite element stress analysis for the given loads and boundary conditions, whether they are meeting the requirements or not. Then comes the actual part preparation, and then it will be printed, and then finally we'll get the physical product. This is a general sequence of 3D printing of components. Yeah. Classification of 3D printing. Yes. ISO ASTM 52900 classified additive manufacturing processes into 7 different categories. VAT polymerization, VAT photopolymerization, where the material types are photopolymers and ceramics, material jetting, binder jetting, material extrusion, sheet lamination, powder bed fusion, directed energy deposition. The powder bed fusion and directed energy deposition are the 2 categories of 3D printing which are exclusive for metal 3D printing. So where metal powders, the input materials will be made in the form of metal powders, ceramics, and also in the form of wire. So we'll talk in detail of these 2 methodologies or these 2 technologies of metal 3D printing in detail in the subsequent slides. So the powder bed fusion, it's also called, it's a lot of synonyms are there depending on the company which is developing these machines. So it's also called as laser sintering, selective laser sintering, selective laser melting, and many other DMLIs, MJF, laser fusing, EBM. And in this powder bed fusion, the process takes that a layer of powder material will be spread over the build platform, then laser or electron beam fuses the first layer of the model. A new layer of the powder then will be spread on the previous layer. The process will be continued till the entire model is created. This in general is the powder bed fusion. It's also then in the direct energy deposition, which is also called as DED, lens laser engineered net shaping, direct metal deposition, in which the metal is deposited from the nozzle. There will be nozzles through which the metal will be injected into the high power laser or electron beam focused onto the solid object. Then material input material will be either in the form of powder or wire, and material is added layer by layer and solidifies to create the object. So powder bed fusion is also called as powder bed technology. Direct energy deposition is called as powder fed technology. People also use these terminologies for these two metal additive manufacturing techniques. We'll see further on this in detail. So where actually powder bed fusion technologies will be used is to manufacture or 3D print the components with highly complex design features like fuel nozzles, blades, injectors, where fine features are there. This will give a very good surface finish among the both the DED and PBF, and this requires minimum amount of machining. So topology optimized designs for weight reduction, including conforming cooling channels, lattice and foam structures can be 3D printed using this technology. If you see biomedical parts, all the biomedical parts presently in the metals are being manufactured only using the PVF technology. And very high requirement also is there in the defense sector like DRDO. And this technology uses the input powder material in the range of 10 to 40 microns. And the material cost, you see, for this type of technology, input material cost in the form of powder is very, very high. We take the type 64 material, it is as high as $600 per kg. Coming to the next type of technology of metal 3D printing is directed energy deposition, where we'll work on those components which are of medium size with less amount of complexity, and components with functionally graded materials is possible only with this type of technology, where different layers of the component will have the different properties as per the requirements of the design. And it's also possible by using this technology to add feature additions on the existing parts. And it's also possible to develop new materials with this technology, because the powders will be injected through nozzles, through different hoppers. And here the metal powders, what all are there for the input, will be in the range of 40 to 120 microns, and it is comparatively faster than the powder bed fusion technology. And I would like to show a small video here which demonstrates the working of lens in our DMRL. So here the material will be injected through the 4 nozzles, what we are seeing here, onto the bed, and then there will be a laser in the center which will fuses the material on the required CAD geometry of that layer. And once this layer this hatching is going on, and once this layer is complete, then the different layer of material, the bed moves down, and then the different layer of the material will be, of the CAD geometry will be deposited. So this process will be continued till the total part is fabricated. You can see these are the nozzles. The powder in the form of metal in the form of powder is being injected into that area of where it is getting fused and placed. So this I'm talking about the wire-based metal additive manufacturing, where we can go up to the sizes of 1500, and this is using this process we can deposit materials up to 13.6 kgs per hour, and we can use the materials like refractory metals like niobium, tantalum, moly, and tungsten. So these are mainly 2 major technologies that are being used for the metal additive manufacturing. or metal 3D printing. And I'll once again see whether this is possible to play here. If it's not placing, then we'll go with the normal presentation. Then if you see the comparative matrix of these three, one is the powder bed fusion, another is diatomaceous deposition using powder and wire. We can have, with the technology of PBF, we can handle very high complex metals, material designs, and it will go to medium and low with the other two technologies. And the size of input material is very, very fine for the powder bed fusion, the range of 10 to 40 microns. Whereas for diatomaceous deposition, it will start from where this ends, at least 40 to 150 micron material input is required. We can handle different types of metals with these both technologies. Whereas in addition, we can also use refractory metals for diatomaceous deposition using wire, and the cost also it will be increasing when compared to the wire. This is the general matrix that is being used. But which type of technology has to be used? Again, it is not a single solution for all types of applications. A process has to be decided. That means additive manufacturing process has to be decided based on the application, complexity, shape and size, quality requirements, cost and time. These are the major parameters which one has to look to select which type of technology has to be utilized for the fabrication of the component. Yeah, these slides actually I have given. There are thousands of components that are being conventionally manufactured and are available. Then to start with, which component has to be considered for 3D printing is itself a major challenge. So there are different approaches. I will not touch upon that trickle down approach, then cut across approach, but I'll touch upon the swap out approach. In this, we need to have to focus on those components of a given product that are easy to migrate to additive manufacturing, to have a feel of the additive manufacturing or metal additive manufacturing and understand the challenges in the same component. That means already if the component has been made by the conventional process, the same component has to be considered in the additive manufacturing and see or compare how it works when compared to the conventional manufacturing. This is very common what we adopt in aerospace, and where the components have selected specific products like small mundane brackets also have been selected, and now we are working on the fuel injectors at a later stage. So this is one of the way, but still here we are not going to gain anything because already the component is manufactured using the conventional process. Then nothing is going to be gained if the same component is repeated, but except the feel or experience of additive manufacturing. That is the reason why we term this as a level 0. Then what are the other levels? GE, General Electric, has developed 3 levels of thinking. In the level 1, it is called as the component thinking, where this is applied to the existing multi-piece part. That means if a component is having more number of parts as an assembly to make that component, those type of components has to be considered for 3D printing. That means these components will be clapped or unified into a single piece and taken up for 3D printing. That type of components are very most suitable to be taken up for 3D printing. And the level 2 systems approach, we have to take the complete module, like in the aero engine, the combustion module, what has been taken here, which is the part, which is the total module of 100 pieces. They have been consolidated into one, and redesign is possible in this level 2 systems thinking. And the third level of thinking is called as the design for additive manufacturing. That means right from the design of the product of the component, the additive manufacturing principles have to be considered. With those in the mind, the design has to be carried out. Using this design, for example, advanced turboprop has been made by GE, where 855 parts, that means 35 parts of that engine were reduced to just 12. They have almost eliminated the structural castings, and development cycle has been reduced by half. So to summarize these levels of thinking, one has to understand that 3D printing is not just the fabrication of components, it's fabrication of components along with detailed evaluation for end-use application with value addition. That means if you take up the component for 3D printing, there should be a value addition when compared to the conventional process. If no value addition is being done, those components are not supposed to be taken up. They have to be continued with the conventional process to have the economics in the picture. So in DMRL, now coming to the facilities, what we have at DMRL, we have procured this machine of diatomaceous deposition called as LENS, which works on the LENS technology from Optomic USA in 2008. DMRL is one of the first few institutes or organizations which have started working in this advanced technological area way back 2008 itself. And that was a very fundamental facility, basic facility with the 3 axes, with the working space of 300 in 3 directions. And we have worked using this machine on different alloys of super alloys, which are mostly suitable for aerospace applications. And the machine is of 1 kilowatt laser capacity. This is having the laser power of 1 kilowatt capacity. Two hoppers are there, which are pneumatically driven, and there are 4 nozzles from which the powder will be injected onto the laser for the fusing. So the motion control is simple: XY axis for the workpiece and Z axis for the deposition head. This is the facility what we have. Using this facility, we have carried out quite a few activities. Some of the are mentioned here. We have developed the know-how. The fundamental aspect of metal 3D printing is the process parameters. Which process parameters have to be adapted to see that the fully dense component will be able to 3D printed. That technology, that know-how has been developed, which I'll talk in the subsequent slides. And we also demonstrated the feasibility of FGMs, functionally graded materials, using SS316 and IN625. And we also developed IN625 via the FGM panels. That means this is metal and ceramic FGM panels for combustible applications for hypersonic vehicle. And also this, we have developed the process modeling techniques to understand the multiple dimensions, thermocycles, and hardness distribution in lens process of one of the material. And using the other technology of metal 3D printing, powder bed fusion, we have developed fuel injector component, which is a generic component for missile applications. Yeah, I mentioned that process parameters have to be developed or optimized, which is the fundamental step in metal additive manufacturing. So this is whenever we are working with any material, the first step is to process parameters optimization. So we have adopted the design of experiments approach. In metal 3D printing, there are a number of parameters which have to be controlled, but majorly there are 3 major important parameters: laser power, scan velocity, powder feed rate. So using these parameters, 3 parameters, we have designed the design of experiments where 13 experiments have been carried out to optimize the parameters. So total 13 experiments, we have deposited specimens of a small of cylinders of 5 mm each and tested for the porosity in each specimen. So it was ranging from 0.7 to maximum 8% porosity. So if you see with the same laser power 300, just by changing the scan velocity and the powder feed rate, one sample has given 8% porosity, whereas another sample is densely packed, and it was having 99.3% density. So this is the optimized parameter. So parameters play a vital role in having the final product. And using our facility, we have deposited different materials and also checked the properties of the components which have of the materials, and we have also seen that they are comparable. These are properties of comparable with that of the wrought and annealed alloys. You can project, which has been 0.2% is near to that wrought and annealed, and 625 material, again it is near to the wrought and annealed. So the very actually in the typical 3D printed material gives a very fine cylinder structure. In this properties what we have got in as deposit condition without any heat treatment, but still they are near to the wrought and annealed. The reason is that the fine cylinder structure of the deposit compensates for the lack of homogenization treatment and grain refinement during mechanical working in achieving equivalent properties. This is the basic typical of the 3D printing technology. And okay, I have mentioned, unless how much ever you speak on the theory, unless we take up a few case studies, we'll not understand the technology in detail. So that is the reason why I have taken 2 case studies, one with the direct energy deposition and another one in detail for the fuel injector, which we have developed for missile applications using the powder bed fusion technology. I'll touch upon these 2 case studies in detail. The first case study is related to the functional graded materials. Yeah, actually functional graded materials are a kind of advanced materials whose properties can be tailor-made, gradually varying the composition. That means wherever, in whichever region we want a property, depending on that property, we will fabricate the material suitable to that type of properties. So for example, integral rotor, turbine rotor. This is the turbine rotor with the aero engine. This needs a typical properties at different regions of that component. For example, in this region of A, the impact properties are whiter, and we use a different alloy, Ti 6040 in this region. Then in this B region, that means in the center of this one, low cycle fatigue is important. So which the most suitable metal for that one is orthorhombic titanium alloy. And if you see the outer region, the creep property is very important. So in this region, we will go with the gamma titanium aluminide, which gives a very good creep property. That means it is a combination of different materials at different places as per the requirement of the material. For example, another material, die material, the tool steel will be used in the inner and copper will be used for the outer. So such type of functional grade materials will give a very good advantage of utilizing these components for applications. And these functional grade materials will be manufactured mainly using the direct energy deposition. So this component, what I'm going to talk about, has been used for the combustion line application of the hypersonic vehicle. The schematic diagram has been given here. So what we have done? So actually the reason to take up the functional grade material for this component is the earlier YZ thermal barrier coating, which were applied directly by the conventional process on the superalloy, involves thermal shocks and high temperature exposures. So conventionally, these are suffering with the low durability and peeling off of the thermal barrier coating due to the large mismatch of metals and ceramics. That means metal for the structure and ceramics on the thermal side of the component to have thermal stability. So that is the reason why we have adopted to go with this approach of functional grade materials, and where the thermal expansion has been gradually varied along the thickness. And this has been done by the lens processing. This has reduced the thermal, so thereby we could able to reduce the thermal stresses and hence increase the durability of the coating. So what we have done is on the IN65 base material, we have given two different bond codes. One is NICR and Necrali, and composition gradient then has been varied upon this one with 25% ceramic YZ, 50% and 75%. Then 3 layers of the complete YZ thermal barrier coating has been given. In the transition zone, it was only 25, 50 and 75. Then FCM panels have been generated, and we have carried out thermal cyclic resistance tests and seen that the YZ and NICR has given 200 cycles, whereas the other one with the bond coat of NICR, Necrali, has given only 5 cycles. And a temperature drop test also have been carried out to understand. After the time of 142, there was a thermal gradient of 315, and after a time of 600, there was a thermal gradient of 126 between the metal and the thermal coating. So we could able to develop functional grade materials with NICR bond coat, which is superior when compared to the Necrali. So this is one of the activity which we have carried out for the hypersonic vehicle. Yeah, as what I have mentioned earlier, before taking up that development of the component, we have studied what are the properties, process parameters, or optimized process parameters, or simple specimens, as what has been shown here. And just 3D printing of any component or any part itself is not sufficient. It has to go through a series of testing and evaluation. We have carried out the microstructure which has indicated the YZ gradation in NICR and transition zone here and complete YZ here. Then factor graph of YZ also has been checked, which has given a columnar grains. That means it will have a very good strength in that direction. And if you see the NICR YZ non-FGM, there are a number of cracks in different directions. Whereas in the FGMs, what we have developed using the lens 3D printing technology, the cracks are there, but they are oriented along the columns, which is very, very beneficial, giving the maximum life when compared to the non-FGM. Yeah, there are, because this is the basic facility what we have procured long back, 12 years back. We could able to deposit only simple shapes due to the restricted 3-axis limitation, and there was not having any closed loop monitoring control system which to improve the properties of the materials, and even the build size is limited 300 by 300 by 300, Now, with the latest machines are available with all these features, with advanced, with good amount of build sizes also. Then I will touch upon the second case study, development of fuel injector by powder bed fusion 3D printing technology for missile applications. So let us understand what is the component what we have taken up. This component is the injector, and there is an O-ring here. And this is in a conventional manufacturing is an assembly of two parts. Part two is being welded to the part one by electron beam welding. There were 3 injector holes, one for the fuel and 2 for the oxidizers for the further combustion of this fuel. And this component has been taken up for 3D printing. So if you see the component, it is having a rectangular cross-section duct, through which the oxidizer will be sent through 2 injector holes. If this component, which has been conventionally designed, is taken up for 3D printing, it is not possible to have this rectangular type of openings inside the component. The first thing is that we have made these 2 parts into one. Assembly of 2 parts has been made into one. With the same design, if we go, we have to provide a support structure for these things. But if we provide the support structures for these internal regions, it is not possible to remove those support structures after the component has been 3D printed. So we have modified the design completely so as to avoid the necessity of the support structures in 3D printing. So design modifications are required so that it is suitable to take up for 3D printing has been carried out. Initially, we have gone with the pyramid type of internal duct region. Then we have finalized with the triangular cross section. So we have been by maintaining the same type of design requirements. So with this, what we have done is we have eliminated. Initially, we have made 2 parts into one, modified the complete to avoid the structures in the internal regions have been modified to make it suitable for 3D printing. Then also eliminated the very complex CNC machining, and even the necessity for EBW process, that means welding of these 2 components, has been completely avoided because they have been made into one, unified into one. And also the necessity for injectors which were made earlier by electron discharge machining. These 3 could be able to manufactured using the process itself. Then 2 more design configurations further to this one also have been made. So this is the initial design version. Assembly of 2 parts. Internal duct region was rectangular here, and part 2 was welded to part 1, and 3 injector holes, 1, 2, 3. This is the injectors for this is the flow channels for oxidizer, and this is the fuel, and these are the flow channels for the oxidizer, modified into this one, what has been shown here with the internal features for to take up for the 3D printing. This component, as we don't have the facility presently with the PBF, we have taken up the facility available at HL Bangalore, and again with the maximum process parameters which are optimized have been applied onto this to create this component or fabricate this component using the 3D printing technique. And this is the 3D printed fuel injector in 709 alloy, which has been manufactured using the machine, using the technology of powder bed fusion. Here I would like to highlight making the component using the 3D printing technology and having the component itself is not the final step. This is only an intermediate step. Then there are many number of steps which have to be carried out on this component so that it will be used, or it will be again used for the end use applications. Before that, let us see what are the processes are there. This is the main process. Here we in the intermediate step, we are making the 3D printing of the component using whichever the technology, but there are many steps which are after this one. Evaluation of the 3D printed components is a very vital step. Then qualification and certification of the component is also required so that it will be used in the end use applications. Then only the actual delivery of component will have any useful effect. So this component what we have 3D printed has been subjected to very detailed evaluation, as I'll elaborate in the subsequent slides. So initially what we have carried out is the chemical analysis. So we have carried out the in situ chemical analysis out of at 6 different locations. That means on the component we have at L1, L2 in the bottom side, and also on the component has been made using the portable XRF facility in DMRL. The material is found to be homogeneous and elemental composition is within the specification of IN 7, that is AMS Aeronautical Material Standards 5662. So this is very good result what we have got, that the material is homogeneous everywhere and that without any segregation of materials. Then we have carried out the X-ray 3D tomography with the facility what we have at DRDL to understand the layer-wise structure, how it is there, whether the internal features have it properly built or not. The tomography will give. So this is the video which has been made to understand the internal features. I'll check whether this is there or not, whether you can see or not. Are you able to see?
No,
Junaid?
sir, it's not visible. Video is not.
Maybe I think there is some problem with the video playing. I'm sorry for that.
No
Then I'll
problem.
explain here itself. Yeah, I'll explain here itself. These are the actually this is the tomography where we can have the layer wise, different layer wise photographs will be taken using the tomography, X-ray 3D tomography machine, and see in that region, in that layer, what sort of features have been built. This is one of the layer what I have shown here on the slide. We can see that internal channels of both fuel channels and the oxidizer channels are clearly visible, and this is a bottom side view where the duct is clearly made, and this is the side view what has been shown here. So we are very much happy with that internal regions, and the component is also found to be very densely built without any porosity. If any porosity is there, this may fail also. So we don't have any major pores or cracks. So that sort of satisfaction has been given in this evaluation of X-ray 3D tomography of this component. Then further what we have done, we have that metallurgical evaluation of the metal 3D printing is very vital. So whether it is having the required strengthening features or strengthening phases are being made or not, and which direction the material has is any columnar grains, or which direction the strength is more, and what sort of grains or what sort of phases have been created, one has to be very clear to understand these things. So we have carried out the microstructure evaluation using the normal optical micrograph, where we have seen the scan tracks. Scan tracks are very clearly visible. You can see here, these are the scanning tracks, and there are multiple formation overlaps are clearly visible. That means layer by layer, what sort of multiples have been formed here is clearly visible. And then the presence of subgrain formation in very fine cellular, which is typical for the 3D printing, is also observed here. And there are columnar grains in the build direction. Are there. This is again typical 3D printing, what we have earlier observed for the 3D printing using the direct energy deposition using lens for that materials. Further on to this one, we have also observed some amount of impurities and very fine porosity waters at some points are there. So we want to understand what sort of impurities have come into this one and where from the impurities have come, and then we have further analyzed it deeply using the scanning electron microscope. In that way, we have found the homogeneity of fine dendrites as well as impurity particles. Again, this is the impurity particle which has been believed. So very fine, and you can see very fine cellular dendrites have been formed, which is again conventionally it is 1 order less than the conventional 7 order alloy, again because of the rapid solidification rates of the range of 10 to the power 5 to 10 to the power 6, which are involved in 3D printing. That is the reason we are getting the very fine cellular structure typical of 3D printing. And again, observe segregation of heavy elements, and there is some pores are available. Overall porosity again is determined is less than 0.2. That means 99.8% porosity and 99.8% density material we could able to build using the parameters in 3D printing of this component. Then to understand what sort of impurities, we have gone with the EDAX analysis to analyze the gray and dark particles in this region, and most of the particles are found to be alumina and silica, which are not part of IN 709. They are not part of chemistry does not include alumina or silica particles, but these have come. The reason what we have concluded is that the contamination of previous campaign of 3D printing using materials like aluminum 10 silicon 1 mg at HL may be the reason. So that some amount of alumina might have been retained in the bed, which has been the pipelines and other things. So there is a necessity for thorough cleaning of any campaign before we take up the new campaign with a different material. This information again has passed on to HL, where now they have included one additional step of flushing of that material, so that there will not be retainment of previous campaign material will not be there in the next type of metal campaign. And again, I told this is also necessary to understand what sort of strengthening phases are there, whether the strengthening phases have been formed or not, whether the material what has been deposited is having the required strength or not, has to be assessed. So we have taken up XRD analysis to understand what gamma double prime, which is typical of the 718, whether it is there or not. So in conventional material, gamma double prime will form only after heat treatment. But here in 3D printing of 718, we could able to get the gamma double prime in the as deposited condition, again as the dominant phases. So then EBSD examination also has been carried out, which has shown to understand what is the volume fraction of the strengthening phase has been created in this as deposit condition, which was about 8%. So this is very good input related to the strengthening features are there. The material is having sufficient strength. Then to understand, I have mentioned earlier in my presentation that this 3D printing of metals always involves the formation of the residual stresses because of the very high temperatures and rapid solidification, rapid cooling is involved. So formation of residual stresses is mandatory. We have to, so to what sort of residual stresses have been created in this component also has been checked, which we have found they are all compressive nature in the range of 500 to 600. And using the micro hardness tester, we have checked the hardness values, and indirectly we also found that UTS values, they are all at par with that of thermal. So this analysis has given us very good understanding of what sort of metal density has been created and what sort of properties are there, what sort of strengthening mechanisms are there, whether the component what has been printed is having the required strength or not has been clearly understood using these techniques. So testing and evaluation after the 3D printing of the component is very, very important. One has to be very thorough in those aspects so that the component will go out for the end-use applications with complete properties as required by the design. So yeah, so till now what we have made, what I have presented is only the component which is already made in the conventional process has been again 3D printed with very minor modifications. That means no great advantages of the 3D printing has been exploited. So what are the advantages? So now we have taken up to further refine the design itself. The initial design is this one, then we have modified with the minimum requirements to make it suitable for 3D printing to see that the component could be able to 3D print. Then we have further gone ahead with the design modifications of the topology of where the flow regions also have been modified to have a smooth flow without any abrupt changes of the cross sectional in the flows. If earlier, if you see, there is an abrupt change of cross section from this type flow to the injector, whereas in this one there is a smooth flow change has been made into this component. Then further even to reduce the weight, we also introduced the lattice structures at lowly stress regions and also carried out the simulation of this component to understand whether it meets the design requirements in terms of strength or not. So these are some of the design variations have been made to really exploit the actual advantages of 3D printing. And yeah, these are the three versions I just touched upon. Modified version 1 with the minor modifications, and modified version 2 with design modification in terms of flow optimization, and modified version 3 with the design modifications including the flow optimization as well as the weight optimization. So this is the build layout where we have taken up in one of the advantage I have mentioned that we can have the multiple prototypes in the same deposition. That feature, that advantage we have exploited in this, where we have put all the three designs in the same deposition, and three new designs, three different designs of the same component have been fabricated using 3D printing at the same time. This is the build layout for those. And one more point I would like to highlight here is that along with the actual components, we have deposited number of specimens in different directions to understand, to take up for the tensor testing, to understand the in which direction the properties what have been 3D printed are having, whether they are having the homogeneous properties in different directions or not, to see instead of actually damaging the component or taking the specimens from the actual component. And this is the total as 3D printed on the bed after the loose powder is removed. You can see 3 components along with the different specimens and different directions, both the cylindrical and the cube for the metallurgical analysis have been taken up. So many, we can have number of specimens. These are 2 different views of the deposition what we have carried out for the 3D print of this component of 3 design versions. And this is the close-up view of lattice structure, mainly to have the reduction in the weight is shown here. The weight has been reduced by 25% for this component when compared to the conventional process. And the sample extraction, characterization, and testing for this component is going on. So I would like to summarize the activities what have been carried out, especially for the fuel injector using the powder bed fusion technology. Identified and finalized a missile component. Yeah, identifying a component to take up for 3D printing itself is an exercise. We should not consider each and every component that comes in our way to take up for 3D printing, which is most uneconomical approach. One has to very clearly study whether the component is suitable to take it up for 3D printing, whether this component is going to give enough advantages of 3D printing or not, one has to consider. So that is the first step. Then what are the advantages we have made? 2 parts have been made into one. First advantage. Second advantage, we have eliminated an expensive CNC and EB process. Third advantage, we have implemented a novel design technique where the necessity for support structures itself has been avoided. So without affecting the functional performance. Then we have carried out the important step after 3D printing of any component, a detailed, extensive testing and evaluation of various chemical analysis, tomography, a metallurgical, hardness, elastic modulus, etc., and understood the properties of this component which has been deposited. And you can see that in the actual conversion process, the input material was about 2 kgs with the final component of 400 grams. That means 80% wastage, whereas in this process of 3D printing, there will not be any wastage. And also in one of the version, we could able to generate a weight reduction of 25%, and the component cost reduction also component was about 45%. So these are the different advantages we have gained. That is the reason why this component is more suitable. That means, again, I would like to stress upon all the participants that you have to be intelligent enough or study in detail which component has to be considered for 3D printing. Majority still, 3D printing is not going to substitute all the traditional components. Still, traditional manufacturing will be there in the system. 3D printing will be there only for the few specific, complex, expensive machining, or which requires very, very high cost tooling or dies. Such type of components have to be considered for 3D printing. So then, let us touch upon some of the challenges of 3D printing. Powder production. Presently, what all the powders, metal powders we are using for 3D printing, they are all imported. So powder production technology for standard alloys is one of the challenge which we have taken up in one of the project to produce it is the standard alloys for 3D printing. And process development and standardization. Again, this is a part, and every component itself is a technology. So one has to process optimization by parametric studies, that is for different materials. One has to do this exercise and process and machine. If it is a process of PBF, it will have different process, and it also again depends on the machine. and post-deposition treatment. The components what we 3D print will not have the surface finish what we get in the CNC surface machining, and we should have the clear idea as to what sort of surface finishes are required. And there are now methods which are coming out, which are coming like abrasive flow machining to improve the surface finish of the component. So these all these technologies have to be worked upon, and process modeling of metal 3D printing in prediction of properties. Yes, this is required to understand what sort of heat transfer of material is being taken place, and we should be able to understand. We should be able to understand the process modeling of the powder bed fusion technology. And in advance, we should be able to assess what sort of heat transfer taking place, and whether the material is going to give the required properties or not. Then another one major important aspect is the qualification and certification methodology. Yeah, this is more applicable for the aero and defense applications, aerospace and defense applications. We have to qualify. So presently, all the qualification and certification methodologies, what are there, they're all applicable only for the conventionally manufactured products. So then what changes have to be added to these qualification and certification of 3D printed components? One has to work upon that one, because these are very much knowledge in these areas is very much there is required, because if you want the components are going for the final applications. Then another important area of work which we are working with along with the institutes, is the development of the 3D printing machine or 3D printing equipment itself for the both metal as well as polymers and composites. So these are some of the technological challenges which presently are there in the metal 3D printing, which I thought I will share with the audience. And okay, now I would like to conclude in this slide. 3D printing is advancing at a very fast pace. Every day, new technologies or new ideas are coming out, and new versions of in both the powder bed fusion and direct energy deposition. The bed sizes are being increased, and new features have been added. There are many advantages. Again, 3D printing is having many advantages, and properties of lens depositor 316625 are found to be at par. Yes, we could able to assess the properties of 3D printed materials, and we have found they are at par with that of the hot materials. So they are not below that of the hot materials. 3D printing can produce parts with similar strength to the same parts made by the other process, and we could able to develop FGMs and fuel injector components using these technologies, including extensive testing and evaluation. And we have demonstrated the advantages of 3D printing. And one should understand, worldwide, very huge investments are being made into this technology, which indirectly show the future of this technology in manufacturing of parts, mainly for end-use applications. The reason of development, more number of developments that are coming into the 3D printing of metals is the requirement of use of these parts as end-use applications. Earlier 3D printing or polymer-based 3D printing were mainly to understand the component, to visualize the component, to make changes in the design and other thing. But now these components are now going for the end-use application. So the developments are at a rapid pace are going on. And finally, I would like to say 3D printing is a magnificent and revolutionary technology. The sooner we can integrate into operations, the sooner the design and manufacturing capabilities and speed will increase, while production costs also go down. Presently, the production cost of 3D printed component is comparatively high, and as the developments start coming in, or we'll integrate that with the normal design capabilities, then the production costs may slowly go down, which will make a way for 3D printing to have a wider reach or in the manufacture of components. So with this, I would like to thank the participants and also the coordinators of Lord's Institute of Technology and Engineering for giving me an opportunity to share my experiences with the participants for this course. And if any questions are there, I would like to answer. I will pass on the mic to Mr. Mohammed Junaid, coordinator.
Thanks. Thanks for your wonderful session, sir. I
Yeah.
hope most of the participants have benefited a lot from you.
Yeah.
From the basic introduction of 3D printing to microstructure evaluation, you have using the DED and PBF technology, you have explained a lot, sir. Definitely, we
Yeah.
are going to have more research on these areas which you have focused a lot. And
Yeah.
to answer, sir, we have already conducted one session on file formats, qualification, ASTM standards also, so that our
Yeah.
participants will benefit more on the and how once they will going to print one they can't themselves satisfied with the product if it is failed. So
Yeah.
the standards they have to compare.
Yes.
So so now I would like to ask the participants, request the participants to ask the questions, queries if you have, or any discussion you want to discuss with our speaker.
So the session was really good, sir. Thanks for the session and thanks for the time. So
Yeah.
here is my question is, so how can we calculate the residual stresses on a printed products? Because the residual stresses causes sometimes failure of a printing products. So how
Yeah.
can we calculate the residual stresses and how can we reduce the residual stresses on the component?
See, the first thing, there are 2 points in your question. First is how we can calculate the resistance stresses. That is prior to printing or after printing.
Yeah,
I'll answer
it's
both the questions.
yes, sir.
After printing, we have taken the XRD approach, and by which we can see the peripheral resistance stresses on the component. Prior to 3D printing, one has to look for the process modeling of this component. You have to understand the heat transfer, how it is taking place. If proper heat transfer mechanism is could be able to adopt in this by providing the necessary support structures or heat transferring zones, then we can reduce the resistances. But complete elimination of resistances may not be possible. So one has to look for the process modeling techniques to understand the resistances on this component.
We are trying to simulate the heat dissipation modeling in Abacus, sir.
Yes.
But
Yes.
still we are facing some problems in establishing the modeling. So we are
Uh-huh.
working on it, and we are
Yes.
tried with the X-ray diffraction method also, XRD.
Yes.
We have
Yeah.
one tried, but we are not getting the proper clear results regarding that. So if you can
Yeah. X-ray
think,
diffraction gives no, yeah, it will give only the peripheral, but
yes,
still
sir.
you have to start working on it. Maybe a small specimens one has to take instead of making on the component. You first work upon the simple specimens and understand how the things are going.
Yeah. Sure,
That
sir.
then that
And
may give a deeper idea at this one, because again a lot of work has to be carried out, and even the available literature in the open literature or in the different papers also not fully available. So this is the area one has to work and see what sort of developments or what sort of things are there. A lot of scope is there, one has to work on this one. And to start with, maybe I think you can do your study on simple specimens taken with a little complexity in that one, and see whether how you could be able to assess in the X-ray diffraction and with the process simulation.
Sure,
If you
sir.
could be able to get a very vague simulation, then that also will give some amount of research to you.
He is currently working in
so
ARCI, sir. He is doing
Yeah.
research in ARCI, Mr. Naresh.
yes, sir.
Yeah.
Uh,
So if you have any other
sir, one
question,
more small doubt.
Hmm.
Whether scanning strategy affecting the mechanical properties of the component or not?
Scanning, yeah, scanning strategy should not affect majorly. That's what we have seen. Then again, it is an exercise. We are going with the standard scanning strategies. We are not adopted any wide variation of the scanning strategies. Only standard things what is available along with the machine only we are adopting to the present this one. But in general, I don't see any great difference in the mechanical properties. Unless, again, if you see one of the aspect what we have seen is that porosity of the as built component. Whether if it is porous, then again, it is not going to give the required. So initial judgment of the scanning strategy may be made with the porosity of whether the component has been densely built or any porosity is there. That also will give a very good idea regarding the scanning strategy.
Sir, so we implemented one small experiment, sir, that where we are changed the laser beam diameter by increasing the
Mhm.
laser beam. We just increased the laser beam diameter, sir.
Yes, yes.
The sintering laser beam diameter, we have increased it to some 100 microns, and we have conducted few experiments which can reduce the printing time and gives better results. But still, we are working on it. So
Yes,
hope
yes.
soon we'll get the good results on that, sir.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
you're on the right
Yeah.
path. Mm.
Yeah, yes, sir. So, actually, I'm previously worked in Bangalore, sir, where we designed a India's first metal 3D printing machine, local made, in
Uh-huh.
Intech DMLS Private Limited.
Fusion,
So, with,
fusion,
from sir,
fusion.
sorry, sir.
Component is called as fusion, that equipment.
No, sir. It's Cube 450 at present. We named it Cube 450.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So, yeah. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Right, right. Now where you are
Yes,
working?
sir. I'm currently in ARCA, sir. So now I started my own startup on plastic 3D printing.
Ah, good.
So,
Okay.
yeah,
Right.
so I'm working on it, sir. Sure, sir.
You are Mr.
Naresh,
Naresh.
Dharamatu? Sorry?
Dharavatu Naresh. Dharavatu
Dharam.
Naresh, sir.
Good,
Yes, sir.
good. Keep it up.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
any other question, Mr. Naresh?
Yeah, yes, sir. I'm fine, sir. But still, I have so many doubts in metal thread printing. So I will mail to the sir if you
Sure,
provide the
no
contact
problem.
details of
Or
sir.
sure, or you can directly ask here also, or you can mail him directly. No problem.
Yeah, yeah. It's great pleasure, sir. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Is there any questions? Is there any more questions so that our speaker will clarify your doubts? So there is one question from Mr. Khalid sir. Which software is used for simulation of injector with varying shape? I think he's asking related to the experiments you have done while varying the cross section of the in the injector.
See, yeah, actually for which one?
Which software is used for simulation of injector, sir? While varying the cross section, you have done the simulation, no, sir? So he is asking which software you have used for that.
Ah, Amphion. Amphion. There are many softwares are there. Simifact is there. Amphion is there.
Amphion. Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Is there any questions? Can we use sensors for different microstructure evaluation? Sir, he is asking, can we use sensors for different microstructure evaluation?
Sensors.
Sensors for evaluation, he is asking.
No, I didn't get the question actually. Sensors means
Can
what?
can we use different types of sensors for microstructure evaluation? He is asking instead of using testings of various using various methods. So he is asking by using the technology, can we use the sensors, different sensors for testing the micro structure using in the microstructure evaluation of an object.
No, we are going with the standard microstructure evaluation. We are not using.
Okay. Is there any questions? Thanks, sir. There are no
Right.
questions.
Right.
You have
Thank
given a
you.
wonderful.
Thank you to all the
wonderful
participants.
session,
Thank
sir.
you. Yeah.
So I would like to highlight some of the your points, sir. From the basics, you have start why 3D printing is necessary. Then near to the nature, that means approximately we can print the nature or natural product if we want. And you have
Yes.
given a wonderful introduction. The minus sign to the plus sign. That means the material removal process to the material addition process and various products and the process sequence in the 3D printing and the various powder bed fusion technology and the different techniques and activities evaluation and the qualification testing certification also you have focused, sir. And you have given a
Yes.
wonderful lecture on hypersonic with case studies using lens 750 at GMRL with various process parameter statistical experimentations. And one of the key
Yes.
points are highlighting that replacement of the rectangular by triangular cross section in the fuel injectors for
Yes. Yes.
safe removal of the support structure and the testing.
Right. Good.
You have also not not left the micro evaluation testing, sir. You have completed the XRF chemical analysis using X-ray 3D, microstructure evaluation, tomography. You are wonderful, sir. You have covered each and every corner of this DED PF technologies. Thanks, sir. Thanks once again, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Junaid, for summarizing once again.
Thanks, sir. That was a resourceful session, sir.
Thank you.
Thanks once again, sir. I thank
Right.
once again
Thank you.
S. Ramesh Kumar, scientist F of DMRL Hyderabad, for giving a wonderful lecture on metal 3D printing using DED and PDF technologies. Thanks, sir. Thanks once again, sir.
Bye-bye.